Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Marv on Air. Today is January 4th, 2023, our first episode of the new year. I hope everyone's holidays, went well. Everyone had a good time with their families, and I think I'm gonna leave the intro at that, and we're gonna jump right into the topic here. I can't see this episode being anything besides an episode simply about Damar. I've thought about it a lot, and I just don't think I can jump into any recap or preview at this point. I took yesterday off. I thought, I couldn't see myself doing a whole show. The people that had to do coverage Monday night, props to them. I don't even know how they were able to do that. And then Tuesday morning that would have been hard. Tuesday evening, I couldn't see myself doing that. And honestly, today is not exactly easy either. So I think we're just going to cover Damar, and we'll do a little bit of preview tomorrow. With that being said, for those of you, obviously, if you clicked on this video, you know. But quick, catching everyone who doesn't know up to speed. Damar Hamlin is a safety for the Bills, and during a routine play in the Monday Night Football game against the Bengals of Week 17 just 2 days ago, he tackled T. Higgins on just a normal play in the first quarter, about 10 minutes in, about 5.5 minutes to go left in the quarter, and, tackled him, kind of caught him in his chest, took him to the ground, and immediately stood up, lost consciousness, went limp, fell backwards, and then there was some confusion and whatnot. It does appear, I don't know if we've gotten official confirmation of this, but based on what I've seen, it would definitely make sense. It appears he suffered from a condition known as commotio cordis, and I myself am not a physician. I'm not, a licensed doctor by any means, but I have spoken with a few, and I've seen the broadcasts of people covering, this situation. So I'll just give a very brief explanation, if you will. Essentially, the heart beats. I don't really know how to, it beats through these electrical impulses. The electrical impulses make the pattern of the heart contract, right? So it beats in a pattern, and there's these two big portions of your heart called the ventricles, okay? And if you were to get hit in a 20 millisecond window, and for those of you who are familiar with an EKG, this is right at the beginning of the T wave, directly after the QRS complex. Right as that T wave is raising, that 20 millisecond window, if you are struck in the chest, right in the heart, with blunt force trauma, you will go into what is known as ventricular fibrillation, VFib, and essentially, instead of your ventricles contracting to push the blood throughout your body, they fibrillate, which is just like quaking or shivering. Like they're not really contracting and pushing blood. They're kind of just like there. That's extremely bad for blood flow. It shuts it off. And so no oxygen to the brain is the biggest issue. And, from the physicians I've spoken with, basically what you have to do there is, you have to fibrillate again. You have to defibrillate, using an AED. And it's a very scary situation. It's a very deadly, usually, situation, and something that is extremely rare. A couple of the people I talk to are like, that is normally just a question on tests. That's not something you see a whole lot. Like, yeah, tons of people go into cardiac arrest every year. This is very rare that it is caused from just a trauma like that. So that's kind of the situation we're looking at medically. I'm not a medical professional. Very brief explanation. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments. But that's kind of what we're looking at there. And I guess taking you through just kind of what I saw, I played football in high school, not at a high level. I know football players, and just when players go down, it sucks. And then when the ambulance is called out, you're like, oh shit, like this is for real. But this one was different. This one had like this kind of aura on the field, and I think it was the CPR really, because Tua, I believe he was taken out on an ambulance in his concussion game against Cincinnati as well, I believe, and that was a pretty scary one too. I actually watched that one live as well. But like if someone gets carried off on a stretcher, anything like that, it's gonna be scary. This one was like. There was no, and they always say, how are the players going to play after they see their starting quarterback suffer a concussion of that magnitude? This one, you could tell there was no coming back. Whether or not the NFL really said anything about a 5-minute warm-up period, we'll never know. But I don't think it matters. I don't think it was going to happen regardless. Truthfully, I think it was such a jarring thing and everyone needed to be there for their teammate that I really don't think anyone was planning on playing. There's a video of Joe warming up, so I guess maybe Joe was ready to roll and Stephon Diggs was trying to get the Bills rolling. But I honestly think that was we'll play if we have to play, and not I'm ready to go. Because up until this point, I don't know if we've seen a game get canceled mid-game. Let me know in the comments below if you have or if you know of a situation in which that happened. I personally don't off the top of my head. And so I think everyone was just kind of ready for that. Well, someone got carried off. Someone got taken off on the ambulance, and now we got to keep playing. So I might as well get ready to warm up, get the team mindset correct. And I'm glad they made the decisions they did, honestly. I don't think they should have played the rest of that game. I think it was... it's not a situation of health as it can be. It's a situation of life and death, and that's a whole different kind of game. Like we can't. It's not. I don't think you should play through that. But moving on to my next point that I really want to touch on. During the situation, it took a long time for the NFL to call off this game. So during that time, the, Twitter world was going crazy. And Skip Bayless put out a tweet, basically saying something and then was like, how can they delay this game? He was basically like, we need to not play the rest of this game, but how can the NFL do that? But it doesn't really matter because that's all anyone's worries are all on Damar. And the Twitter world exploded. They did not like that. And I immediately saw people making TikToks of Skip's tweet. And to me, that was very messed up. I don't know. I'm just another guy. I'm just a dumb college student who speaks into a microphone, probably shouldn't have this camera, probably shouldn't be able to broadcast this. But here I am. And I'm going to tell you, that was messed up, okay? I want to go viral as much as the next guy. But this is a dude who's in critical condition, a guy who's in serious life-threatening, life-or-death situation, and you're really using someone's tweet for your own clout. Like, it makes me angry thinking about it, and, like, I can't. I had a hard time even really wanting to make this show, and I put out a short that was kind of explaining the situation, and that felt kind of wrong. But it wasn't. It was literally just to like kind of try to promote his cause that he's his Chasing M's Foundation, which I'll touch on here in a second. But that was just. I'm not gonna call it the guy, but I like. No, that was way wrong, and it really irked me in a serious way. I was just like, come on, like we gotta be respectful. We gotta be, Anyways, I'm preaching to the choir here, but I'm just saying that really was. I did not like that at all. But yeah, so his charity, he went to Pitt, grew up in Pittsburgh, went to the University of Pittsburgh, and in his senior year, set up the Chasing M's Foundation, the Chasing M's toy drive, and his goal was $2,500. And he just right before the show, I looked, he was at like $6.6 million. Everyone, pitching in for him and his family. If you do want to donate, I do have the link in my bio. I don't know if it's like linked or if it's just the link. If you have to copy and paste it, I don't know. But it's there. So if you feel so inclined, it's definitely there for you. But I thought that was pretty cool that everyone was helping to support him in that way. And obviously all of the NFL teams have changed their little like logo thing, and everyone, the donations and the lights on the outside of the stadiums, like that's all really cool. I really I'm a big fan of all of that. So if you do want to donate, it's available in my bio. But so get to down to what this was all about here is what does this mean for the NFL? Well, here's my thing with it. I think the protocol was actually, now I wasn't there, and obviously I'm only watching on Monday Night Football, so the broadcast only helps so much. Like after they cut to 2 breaks, and then Joe Buck was like, just so you guys know, in the last 2 breaks, we've been administering CPR for the last 2 breaks. I mean, that really hit me. It hit me hard. So I wasn't down there, but I do know from what I saw, what I know about the potential of a cardiac arrest, what like the timing of all that, I think the protocol, the emergency protocol was done pretty much flawlessly. They had an AED close enough that they were able to, get him, defibrillated, and like obviously he didn't die on site, and it would be, I mean, in that situation, the fact that they were able to keep him alive for this long is a miracle, and obviously all thoughts and prayers are with him, but I don't think the protocol needs to be changed at all. The only thing I didn't like was how long it took for the game to get called off, and that's a tough thing to really. I know the NFL is a business, and they need to. This game was pivotal for the number 1 seed of the AFC. Obviously, I have a freaking show. Like I'm a huge NFL guy, but like you could just tell no one was going out there to play, especially after it had been like 20 minutes. That's when you're just like, all right, we're done. We'll figure this out later. I don't know what that means for like the ticket. Those people who bought tickets to the game. We'll talk in a second what I think could potentially be done about the game itself and the playoff standings. But I thought it was like, I don't know. It took over an hour. I was at work and I was watching, and I'm just like, guys, we gotta make a decision here. Like, are we really going to come out and play after everyone's been sent to the locker room? And this guy, we still don't know his condition. So it's like, I feel like if we knew his condition in 20 minutes and he was okay, then people would be like, okay, we can definitely get back, and it won't be a perfect game, but we can play. But I thought they took too long. Along the lines of those players, I don't want to see any more talking about, I don't want to see any more blame on T. Higgins, because he did not do anything wrong. I don't know. So here's the deal with the vaccines. In the chat, I'm seeing we should talk about the vaccines. I actually, I know I talked about the injury a little bit, like the actual condition at the beginning. I'm not going to touch on the vaccine because I'm not a medical professional. I don't know anything about it at all. I do know, Rodgers went the other route. I can see, there's definitely potential for concern. I've seen some people think that it made the condition potentially worse. But from what I know about commotional cordis, in my brief understanding, it doesn't appear to me that the vaccine would make it any worse, unless potentially it made the heart more vulnerable, because taking that hit through the pads from another human would be, I would think, hard to do. But, I mean, you see it in hockey with a hockey puck, which is the thing with that is the hockey puck is a much smaller area through the pad, the force, like per area, you know what I'm saying? So like, I could see that with a whole human shoulder, that's a lot of area to create that much force. So I guess I mean, I'm not speaking on the vaccine at all, but I guess that would be the only thing I could see because regardless, if you go into commotion quarters, your heart is going to go into VFib. And once you're in VFib, you're not pumping any blood. So I don't know anything about the vaccines. I don't know anything about dropping 769 pro athletes on the field last year. That's not something I'm, keeping my eye on. It's not something I deem necessarily important. I know obviously it's a medical thing and it's should be talked about, but I'm not the person to talk about it. So I'm not going to. But here's the thing with the game. I saw somebody talk about potentially so they agree not necessarily on a tie, but like a no contest, so the game just doesn't exist in the schedule anymore. And I think it's not a bad idea. And then what could happen would be the Chiefs. It's all dependent on that game. So if the Chiefs win, then they'll automatically get the 1 seed. They don't need to worry about this Bills-Bengals game. Is it, the perfect situation? No. The perfect situation would be none of this happens and we simply get to finish the season unhinged, like no hiccups at all. That's perfect situation, but we're not in that situation anymore, and we're all, sitting here praying about Damar, sorry. And so I don't think that's a horrible situation. If the Chiefs win, we don't worry about it. It's just a no contest. It messes with the AFC North, I know. It messes with 2 and 3 seed. But I think it's bigger than that at this point, as we saw by the teams just deciding not to play. That's one option. Well, another option would be something along the lines of pushing the whole, there's the bye week between the Super Bowl and the Pro Bowl. I don't know. I saw some reporter come out today and basically say, like, we shouldn't be playing in Week 18 at all. Look, I'm not saying that it wouldn't be extremely hard to get out there and play, because I know it would. But you got to go out and play at some point, and it's like, I don't know. For those people who don't know Damar, it's jarring, but I feel like I'm being a little insensitive here, but to say that we shouldn't play any Week 18 games seems a little bit silly. That's just me. I can definitely see where they're coming from. Don't get me wrong. And allegedly, she brought up the precedent that they didn't play any Week 2 games after 9/11, which is the parallel there. I don't know. But I do see where she's trying to draw the point of they were able to shut down a whole week. It's a tough situation, and it's unprecedented, as has been said many times before. But I just don't know if we can shut down a whole week, especially this late in the season. Because if you shut things down week 2, I would imagine, bye weeks could be altered and stuff. But I don't know what happened with that. I just saw that right before the show. I don't know about the whole canceling Week 18. I really don't. But I do think there's potential to fit that Bills-Bengals game in somewhere if we... Because my initial thought was after they canceled it Monday, I said, well, they could do it Tuesday, but then the Bills and the Bengals games will have to be pushed back this weekend to give them a lot of time to recover, because not playing 2 games in 4 days, like, that's pretty obvious. I think personally, and I once I read it, I immediately was like, hey, this is the best option. I think the best option is to just call it a no contest until we see what happens with the Chiefs. It's a very tricky situation, so all those who are making the decision know what they're doing. But that's kind of where I'm at, is I think no contest until we see what happens with the Chiefs, and then from there we can be like, oh, yeah, this game should be played. Maybe we can squeeze it in here. Can't squeeze it in, obviously, in between the Pro Bowl and the Super Bowl, but if you were to push everything back, play it at a certain point, I don't know exactly how that would work, but I could see that. What does this mean for, I think a lot of people initially thought it was a concussion and that concussion protocols needed to be updated. I'm sure he sustained a concussion when he fell and hit the back of his head. But I don't think like I said, I don't think any protocols are going to change. I think everything was executed correctly to an extent. But I do think that things will change if a player has to get CPR on the field. I think there's going to be a new line that essentially is drawn saying, if a player is in a life or death situation. If CPR is brought into the equation, the game is called, whatever they deem this. If it's a no contest, if it will be postponed to a later date automatically. I don't know exactly what will happen, but I think it could be something along those lines. I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. I wouldn't expect it, but I wouldn't be like, oh my God, they're gonna make a new protocol for this. Like, this is pretty. It's pretty crazy. So I could definitely see I could definitely see something changing there. I did see. Where did I write this here? Oh, right here. Okay, so Rappaport tweeted out. According to Troy, what was his name? I don't have his name. Anyways, I think it was Troy. A higher up in the NFL said that principles from the 2020 season are available and everything is being considered when regarding the potential resolving of the lack of a Bills-Bengals game. So could be something along the lines of what we saw in 2020. It's definitely possible. But yeah, I think honestly that's really the biggest question. I don't think anything too big is going to change from this. Obviously, players are going to be affected and organizations, but as far as the NFL itself, I think it'll be pretty similar. If something worse had gone down, it'd be a lot different situation. I remember watching it, that they need to get him off the field as soon as they can, because as soon as they can, like medically, because it was hard for those players to see, hard for the fans to see. Just get it in the hands of the medical professionals and get it to a situation where they can have complete control. But apparently his vitals are stable and conditions are looking up. I would be surprised if we hear anything back tomorrow, but I know everyone's on the edge of their seat, myself included, and I'm a Patriots fan, Patriots, whatever. But I definitely, I'm pulling for him, and I feel like if you're not, that's kind of messed up a little bit. I mean, it's bigger than football. If you're like, hey, I'm a Bengals fan, and I was hoping we could have won that game. Well, yeah, I'm not. I mean, I had a couple bets on the game too. I wanted to see a really good. I think that was gonna be a great football game, but at this point, it doesn't matter. So, everyone's pulling for you, Damar. Obviously, Damar's not watching this, but yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with the whole situation. If you have anything that you want me to touch on, put it in the chat really quick. You have a quick shot to give me something to talk about. It could be related to Damar, it could be related to news around the league, but I kind of wanted to make this simply about Damar. I feel a little bit weird doing a full preview or news breakdown of anything else, especially because I'm the only one in studio. Normally we have a whole set of people in here. I'll give you guys maybe 15 more seconds here. But other than that, the injury was jarring. It was a freak accident. It was definitely crazy to see. And like I said, we need to stop blaming T because he didn't do anything wrong. So it doesn't look like anything's coming in. So I'm going to go ahead and call it. If you guys want, I think I'm going to stream on Twitch tonight. Play some, I've got Madden, NHL, and NBA 2K23. So might be going live on Twitch. If you guys want to join me there, we can get a little bit more personal. Otherwise, I'm going to call that the show. I appreciate everyone for tuning in. And don't be afraid to comment your opinions on the situation down below. But anyways, I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you guys for tuning in. And yeah, peace out.